Hola, ¿cómo van todos? Bueno, nosotros estamos acá y ya estamos en el segundo día del TRIPPIN'BLUE y hoy vamos a recibir a Adriano Goldschmied, que yo de verdad no lo puedo creer porque les voy a hacer una pequeña introducción para que ustedes sepan. Es fashion designer italiano, de verdad, así que con toda esa pasión es el padrino, conocido como el padrino del denim, el creador y fundador de la marca Diesel, de todo lo que conocimos de premium, mezcla de fibras, stretch, hyper stretch, toda esa evolución que el denim fue teniendo durante el tiempo. Estamos acá con la persona que innovó durante todos esos años en nuestra industria. Fundador de Diesel, creador de Replay, Gap, Gold Sign, AG, Adriano Goldschmied, su propia marca, y que nada, va creando leyendas durante toda su carrera y la verdad que para nosotros es un placer tenerlo acá. Actualmente es propietario del Genius Group, que lleva innovación independiente del proceso de la cadena, va llevando innovación alrededor del mundo para marcas chineras. Así que, hi Adriano, ciao, how are you?
Anna, how are you? So great
I'm
this opportunity. I love South America and every opportunity to talk to consumer and the denim community is absolutely great.
I'm really glad to have you here with us because not only because you are Adriano, for us is a legend, but currently because you are the owner of all transformation that you have in our industry and challenging all the time the innovation in all aspects. And thank you for that. Thank you.
It is a pleasure. I tell you, Anna, that this year I'm celebrating 50 years of activity in the denim business.
My
And
gosh.
to be honest, I have to say that I have the same passion and energy that I had the first day, maybe more, because I've been learning more. I've been able to work in so many different projects. And let's say, I have to say that the energy that is coming from the heart and the passion that you have is the biggest engine that can also substitute the knowledge, because knowledge you can learn, but the passion is something that you need to have in your blood. And my career, obviously very, very long. I started in the 72 opening a store, and from the store, very quickly, I went into denim production, and I've been developing many, many different brands. Let's say a particular thing of my character that many people is telling me that is a defect, and probably it is that I'm never happy, and all the time that I have one success, I'm thinking to the next one. But maybe this one is not good from the business point of view, but in terms of creativity, passion, and things that I do is extremely interesting and exciting. Let's say in the 80s, I created the Genius Group in Italy, and Genius Group was an amazing experience because basically the idea was to put together, make home to the creativity and giving to designer, to creative people, the tools that they need to reach the market. That was the time that I created Diesel and Replay and working with Catherine Hamnet and many other designers. And it was incredible, successful, and let's say open up the denim business to the fashion business. And then after that, I've been traveling all around the world. I don't know which one is the country that I've not been. And I've been in Japan, in China, in Vietnam, Pakistan, Europe, Turkey, a few times in South America, collaborating with many, many different industries and brands. And obviously my vision of the business been widening up. And it is also the time that I realized how much my design of the early times was impacting the world. And let's say all the chemicals that I was using, the stonewash, and every process was extremely harmful. And let's say in the 92, I started my first eco project that was Agolde. Agolde was a brand that was developed only in Tencel, that started exactly that year. And so I was totally taken to the idea of making a fiber that was not giving the impact that the other natural fiber are giving to the environment. After that, I started in Italy, AG ADRIANO GOLDSCHMIED, that was my brand. I was already spending a lot of time in America because obviously Americans since the very, very beginning was my inspiration. And so I did an amazing project for the Gap that was created in the 1969 gene in occasion of the celebration of the 30 Gap anniversary. And so I realized that America was in some way my home. So at a certain point, I took my family, I said, everybody, okay, guys, we move, we go to Los Angeles. In Los Angeles, I did AG ADRIANO GOLDSCHMIED. That was very different from the Italian one because the Italian one was very elitarian, very specific, very expensive. In America, we created what is the premium denim like we know today. So it means it was, yes, it was a high-end product, but in some way very commercial, creating an interesting business. You know, America is all the time about the money. And so we've been, and for me, it was also a very interesting experience because let's say in Italy, it was about creativity, but in America, we learn how to move the creativity into creating a business. And so I feel like the two experiences together, they open up to me a kind of new world. After that, I was partner in Citizen of Humanity and Gold Sign. And then I've been dedicated very, very much from the, let's say, year 2000 into sustainability, circularity. And I consider myself, honestly, like an activist today. Every single project that I'm making has to be good. For me, it doesn't make any sense to make a project that is just good by itself in terms of design if we are not moving in the right direction. I totally understand what my position in the market is. My experience in some way is opening the way to the future. And so I have to show to the new generation and to the industry what is the right way to go. And so I feel this responsibility, and that's why I fight so much to improve the industry and to improve our system.
Perfect. So you even say that Italian, and somehow it's more expensive, were more expensive in that time, but Italian, there is this kind of premium quality in denim. why do you think that Italian deliver those innovation? Like, why do you think that this is so strong in Italy?
Let's say, in some way, I think that it's part of the Italian culture. You know, I think that still live in what in the 15th century, 16th century was about the art, the creativity, the paintings, literature. It was all about that. And this one is a characteristic of the Italian culture. We only been transferring this mentality into our business. But I have to say that when you ask me why, I have to say that today we have to distinguish between the textile business and the manufacturing and design, obviously. Design, for sure, is very, very strong. And the textile is different because it requires huge investment, requires a low cost for labor. And so by definition, I would say textile business went to Asia, to Pakistan, to Turkey, countries where there are big investments and where it's also more easy because in some ways more technical, more than creative. You know, it is possible to create that situation in those countries. For what is regarding manufacturing, it's very different because don't forget that today the new thing is about the luxury business. That is a business that is dominating the world, not only in the denim, but let's say in general. And this one is about Italy and France. And Italy is becoming the natural place for the luxury brands to develop product. I just coming recently from a trip that I did in Italy, visiting factories, manufacturing, and honestly, I see that is such a big change in Italy because there are big investments into what we call made in Italy, very high technology, and quality is a maximum level. And so I see that Italy was a country where we created in some way in the 80s the premium denim, but today we are creating the luxury business.
Perfect. And about the old project that you made for all your life, do you know that some projects become the person that you are today? There are some important one that you never gonna forget?
I have to say one thing. Normally, I forget. And also why? Because I'm so focused in what I have to do for the future that honestly, I don't do what I did in the past. Okay? But there are a few things that I remember very well. The first one, I have to say, was a real revolution because was my first fashion brand in the 1974 that was called Daily Blue. Daily Blue was at that time a revolution because I was basically created at that time already a kind of luxury brand. Prices were extremely high and quality very high, but most important thing, I gave a lot of room to creativity and fashion products. You have to understand at that time, the jeans was Levi's, Wrangler, and Lee, period. Okay, so honestly, very boring. And from our point of view, you have also to understand at that time I was 25 years old. So a kind of vision completely different from what it is today. But the creativity was a very, very strong innovation. And honestly, I have to say, Daily Blue probably was the inspiration to all the designer gene that came after, because they realized that it was a way to make money at a good level. You know, in the Calvin Klein, the Gloria Vanderbilt, and Armani, and here and that. And so, for sure, I have to say, Daily Blue was opening the way to a new definition of the denim business. Plus, from the emotional point of view, I cannot forget how much fun we had. We didn't know anything about the industry. We've been learning so much. Nobody's believing in us. And so it was really a challenge. The other project that was much more mature is the Genius Group that I talk about, that was about putting together the creative world from everywhere in the world. We went immediately global. We have stores in Japan, in America, everywhere. The other project that for me is extremely important is Chloe, that is very recent. Chloe, everybody knows Chloe. Chloe is a luxury brand in Paris, and is really representing the French chic, you know, and we are coming from a different world, but let's say it's an amazing match. We bring knowledge and our experience in the denim, and we create a collection that fits perfectly to the luxury world, but with one thing that is very important for me, that probably Chloe today is the most sustainable and circular collection in the market. Means that every single item or components that goes in the product is 100% recyclable, is 100% biodegradable, obviously it's reusable, and let's say we're giving attention to do the things really in the best way we can. Consider that we are not greenwashing marketing. We do really the right things in terms that we care where we produce, we care what we put in our fabrics, in our thread. For instance, we don't have any metallic trims, and let's say it's really a remarkable project, and is in some way opening the way to what a circular product should be.
And the communication for Chloe, it's amazing, amazing communication, very good and very real and honest with the consumer. I love it. I love this project.
Yeah, this one is part of our concept. You know, we don't want to bullshit anybody. We tell what we do, and if we don't do, we don't do. You know, I don't want to say we are a sustainable collection like everybody does, because maybe they have 10% of organic cotton. You know, the things are 100% recycled of post-consumer garments.
Yeah.
You know, it's not new cotton.
The thing is, most of us are talking more than doing. Yeah. This is the problem. We have to do first. And then when you do right, you can tell somebody, but not in different order, no? So, and about these 50 years of professional denim industry, what was the biggest challenge that you faced in that time in the industry for now?
To fight to the people, honestly. Let's say, you know, industry by definition is very conservative. And so all the time that I go to whatever it is, the laundry or a spinner or a farm or a textile industry, they come to me saying, oh, we never did before, so we cannot do it. For me, it's exactly the opposite. If you never did before, it's a very good reason to do it. You know,
It's true.
let's say the biggest challenge is to convince the people to go to the future and to invest money, energy, time into the new things. You know, at the end, it's the most difficult thing.
Mm. And the project that you are currently doing and work on is one of them. It's Chloe. But do you have any Genius Group project now coming on?
Let's say Genius Group is a creative design company. And let's say I'm working into two different things that I love to work when the influence of what you do is very high. So this one means, for instance, Chloe is a very good example because the number of units obviously is not very big, but the influence that this collection has in the market is huge. Okay, and this one is a segment that I love and can be also because obviously Chloe is a big brand, but I love also to work in small new projects. For instance, right now, I cannot disclose a name, but because it is a brand new project, but I'm working on a new brand that is going to be a brand of Genius Group, where I like to bring together two subjects. Obviously, one is circularity and sustainability. That, in my opinion, is not even a subject today because it is what you have to do, period. It's no other way. You understand? So, but what I like to do, because in the past I was talking about Daily Blue. Daily Blue, we had a lot of enthusiasm. We was brave. We was bringing things that never been done before. I think today, especially after COVID, people like to have fun. And let's say people doesn't buy a product because you read the hand tag that is sustainable. The reality is that especially women, they go into the mirror and if the jean is making a good ass, you buy it. If don't, you don't buy it. That is a reality. And let's say, I think to bring back the importance of fashion, because fashion mixed to the sustainability, in my opinion, is a new frontier. You know, means that we have to give to the consumer a new emotion when they buy that is not only about how many liters of water we've been using washing a garment. That is okay. Obviously, we have to do it. But let's say, I think that people cares about what they buy, and they buy for a reason because they like it. And
Yes.
so we have to bring the industry back into what fashion is, you know.
And sustainability, it's about a path or way endless. All the time when I talk with somebody that knows so much as you, I just understand that it's about sharing knowledge. It's about telling the story. It's about mix and helping hearing people around the world, because it's doesn't have the end. We have to work on it. So um when some brands ask for collaboration with you, how do your collaboration begin? And have you had any experience with Latin American brands?
Let's say, first of all, I have to say I agree totally with what you said about working together. today, honestly, it doesn't matter how big a company is, by themselves, they cannot do anything. You know, honestly, if we like to change our industry, and it's not only about the industry, but we work in order to have a better planet, we have to work all together. All together means that we share information and we work together in the progress, in the innovation. And so basically, there are no secrets. You know, there are no secrets. And personally, all the time, I'm available. Also, what I think is amazing and new, if you make me a call, I'm going to share with you. I know also that you're going to do it probably in a different way. Maybe you're going to bring another step after what I did. And so we have the general progress. Talking about South America, it is an amazing country. I love the people. And I think it's very special in some way because for many different reasons, is isolated from the rest of the world. Means because the duties, because of history, and so let's say the industry have a hard time to get integrated to the rest of the world. That's why I admire a lot what you're doing, because basically you're helping the industry to share information and to have a progress that obviously you need also in all the South American countries. I had two experiences in South America. One is in fabrics. I remember in the 2017, I went with Ricardo, the owner of Vicuña. I went to visit his factories, and I saw the recycling plant that, by the way, they are existing, they've been existing, not because sustainability, but because they were thinking to save money, okay? And I remember that I saw the cycle, and I said to them, why you don't keep it separate, the industrial waste of the blue and the industrial waste of the white, and you weave a fabric with the blue in the warp and the white in the weft. So you create a fabric that is blue without the dye. That, you know, the dye is a process that is extremely with a bad impact. And to be honest, we created probably at that time the first circular fabric, because it was almost everything was recycled. And today, probably at that time, I didn't realize that was a big evolution. You know, I was thinking, okay, that is another fabric. But today, when I think back, I realize that was a very, very strong innovation. And so today, I'm trying with a new brand that I'm making, I'm gonna bring it back. Very interesting project, because basically it's a fabric where you don't need a dye. The final wash is very, very minimal, and so the impact is almost zero. Then I had in Argentina another collaboration that was with JF, that is a company that today is not existing anymore, but honestly was showing to me in some way how difficult was working with my mentality, with the mentality that it was there. It was a very difficult collaboration. But I have to say that South America in general, in my opinion, is a kind of El Dorado, I mean, for the denim today, because there are so much. And I think about, for instance, Denim City in Brazil. It is amazing. What you do is amazing. All the time that I talk to somebody, I see that they have a lot of passion. As I said, that one is a thing that we need to have progress.
Yes, I completely agree. And I think that if we can have like a positive points from pandemic times, I think that pandemic accelerated all mentalities or mindset about sustainable ways and circularity, and even the user, the new generation is questioning much more. And I think that this is the way we have to answer them, because they have question now. We before just buy without question anything, and everything is changing. And I think that this is gonna be very good for our industry. And talking about the past and the future, between the past and the present of the industry, what do you see as a negative or positive for the future?
Let's talk about the positive first.
Yeah, always.
Positive thing is that to make it very simple, to be sustainable and circular today, you make more money. This one is extremely important, because this one means that we know that the money is a very important factor.
Yes, sir.
It's about investment, is about creating the conditions for the progress, for the innovation. And so the very positive way is the industry is changing. In the past, let's say before year 2000, the industry was extremely conservative. And today, every time that you have something new, they are ready to consider. That is a change of mentality that is extremely important. And this one is also because of the pressure of the new generation, because they have a different approach to the product and how they consume the product. And they ask, they have questions, and most of the time in the industry, they think that the market is not ready. But honestly, it's the other way. It's the industry that is not ready. The market is ready.
Yes.
And so that is, I would say, the positive thing that is changing our industry in a very good way. Consumers today, after pandemic, they've been changing a lot, and they care about durability. They are very focused in what they buy. They don't buy just to buy. They need to understand, do I really need it? That is important, because mentally they go back to the closet to see what they can use again, And we know also, for instance, that the reuse and the vintage is a kind of business that today is booming. There are organizations, websites, and companies that they are selling millions and millions of pieces. So it's not anymore a side kind of thing, So there are many things that, in my opinion, are positive. When we talk about negative, I would say is that the dollar is still too important.
Yes.
The dollar is driving the business still. No respect for the people, no respect for a good life for the workers, no respect for a healthy environment. And this one, honestly, I was hoping that COVID was giving us a change in the mentality. But in some way, a little bit is coming. But I still, that I think the industry has to learn that it's not only about the money. You know, you sell more when you are a good company.
It's true. Completely true. I think that transparency is the word for the next generation, because after the questioning, they want to know the truth. And if you don't tell, in pandemic, we saw many brands on Instagram that people were asking the truth for them. And they know where the answer is. So we cannot lie anymore. And this is the best point. And in your opinion, you said about the new secret brand that you are bringing for Genius Group, and we are going to know when you launch it. But for now, for you, in your opinion, what is the most complete denim brand in the world? I know that LA, Los Angeles, and California, there is many good brands, denim brands, Italian as well, and America is growing in denim over now in production, manufacturing, and everything. So, in your opinion, what if you have to pick one brand, each one?
I know I'm gonna disappoint you. Is Levi's.
Good. No, it's not disappoint, because I think no. I'm going to let you say your point, and then I have some things to add.
Levi's. I tell you one thing, early 90s, I was in Amsterdam with some Levi's people, and the conversation was about the idea of dismiss the 501. Okay, that when we consider today is absolutely crazy, right?
Yeah.
So you have an idea what the disaster was at least at the time, you know. They've been able to recover and to take the brand from that point to a leading position. You know, they are leader in sustainability, they are leader in creativity, they are leader in collaborations, you know, a leader in creating interest in the market, and leader in making the things with the right thing. Also, consider one thing, Levi's is not afraid to take a political position. That crazy for a company. You know, a company normally say, "Oh, we have to sell to everybody," but they realize that it's better to sell and to have the love of people that love you than try to sell to the people that hate you.
Yeah. And if you have like an overview about the industry, any industry, not about textile or denim, that survive for 115 years doing the same, but
Yeah.
changing and innovating and mixing and asking and hear about their users, this is amazing. I think that Levi's just growing with the same generation, because my mom uses Levi's, I use Levi's, and for sure my son is going to use. And maybe each one of the I doesn't have like a 1500. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
You understand also that to be super cool for a small brand is very, very easy.
Yeah.
But to do what Levi's did at that size is totally a different story.
Yeah.
When we talk about another brand, if I have an option for a number two, also because it is a very good friend of mine, I would say Denham in Amsterdam. It is a
Jason.
brand. He's a really jean guy. He has a lot of attention for the details, the quality, and he cares a lot about consumers because, you know, at the end, he has a lot of stores. And so when you have stores, you don't think about the buyers, you think about the final consumer. That is very, very important. He's very strong in innovation, in quality, and I think he's a good example of a very, very good brand.
He's good. Yeah. Yeah, he's amazing. And one of the things that I want to point in here, when you visit a Dejan store, you know that every single collaborator over there knows about what kind of denim you are buying. And this is amazing. You
Yeah,
ask about blend, you ask about everything, and the seller know about this kind of material. Amazing.
yeah, education, you know, when
Education.
you're a very simple and young person, they know everything. They can explain to you everything. So the education is super important.
Yeah. Adriano, I think that we can talk forever about every single passion that you have for the stage, for the process, for the steps on denim and jeans. Unfortunately, we have time to go on, but I really want to thank you for your generosity with us. And not with TRIPPIN'BLUE or South America, but with the people that are making denim in the world. Thank you so much for your history,
So
and
much
thank you for everything that you are bringing.
passion, because that's what is making the things change. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.